had death threats at that time, didn't you, Gregg?
Oh my God, yeah, we had full-time security. I get death threats, once a week now.
At the pit.
Yeah, I had one the other day.
Lance. Yeah, at the pit. I don't think people realize.
Catherine was poisoned in October.
Yeah.
Wow.
A month before we went to jail, or 30 days before we went to jail, Catherine was poisoned.
How did that? Can you give us just a little
telegram?
Yeah. How?
Sure. Yeah. She was coming back. She had an overseas trip she had to make to the Far East, and here's what we think happened. So our little iPhone case, our little earpod case.
Yes.
The deal was that she had an extra one in her purse, and because her other one was malfunctioning, and it was one of those bags, right, that she was traveling with. It wasn't like a closed purse; it was an open bag, where all it took was somebody to walk by and rub something on the case. Well, what happened was when she was traveling back, and her earphones malfunctioned. She reaches in there. She's a few hours from home by now. She reaches in her bag, pulls out the case, puts it in her ear. Within seconds, she immediately knew something was wrong. The shooting pain down her neck, like she said, "Whoa, what's happening?" She had no idea what was happening, and it was so bad. Then she went like this, and so then the muscles in her face and the muscles in her eyes.
Wow.
Or beneath her eyes and next to her eyes began to just basically, her face began to do this basically. And I mean, she didn't even tell me what was going on. We were supposed to be going to Tallahassee the next day to talk to the Secretary of State about what was going on with all this stuff. And I go to pick her up. I left Austin, drove through to pick her up at her house. She got in the car and I said, "What in the hell is wrong with you?" And she said, I don't know. And her hands at that point, because remember, she had touched it.
Right.
Her hands she had no control of her hand. Her hands were shriveled up like this when she got in the car.
Sounds like a neurotoxin.
You
know what it was?
I can't say everything I know about that, but we shipped it off to the University of Virginia Medical Center, where there's a famous doctor with super amazing skills in neurotoxins. But I took her, instead of going to Tallahassee, I took her straight to the Methodist Hospital ER. And we sat in. I actually have a picture of all this. I don't think I've ever told this. You guys are getting some exclusive on this.
That's it, Vince. You have never told this, and we're always skulking around your
fun
feet.
Talk.
And she's and I mean I was just there with her, right? I'm not her spouse. I mean, I don't have any really right to be back in the back with her. Well, she asked them if I could come back, and so I'm sitting on this little bench trying to be calm and watching my best friend and business partner deteriorate by the minute. At some point, I looked up. They have the little blood pressure monitors that kind of sit up above the bed, and I could see it from where I was sitting. And her blood pressure had dropped to 54/38. And I just started praying. I mean, I closed my eyes, I put my phone down, I closed my eyes, and I started praying. And when I looked up, and I actually have a picture of part of what I'm about to tell you. I looked up, and there was this blue glow. She was laying in the bed, kind of all balled up in a way. There was a blue glow across the entire bed, and I mean, I'm like, oh my God, God's in the room, guys. And I'm looking for my phone, and I'm trying to take a picture. I eventually did snap a picture. Some of the blue is still there in the picture. It wasn't as intense as when I first looked. Within 45 minutes of that happening, we were out the door. I took her back home. 45 minutes of that. And so I prayed, this happened, and I took her home an hour later. It's unbelievable. But anyway, I've kind of jumped in. So that was one of the things when we were at break, everybody, I was talking to the guys about that 90-day period between the pit and when we got out of jail and everything that happened. The poisoning was one of the things. I was invited, let's say, to testify before a grand jury in Los Angeles about Eugene Yu. Same day that I received the invitation to come out there on a Wednesday, he filed the court case, the defamation case against us in Texas that got us in jail. And I mean, I think back to all this stuff, guys. I mean, this is wild stuff if you think about it.
Crazy, because he was facing criminal charges at that time, Eugene Yu in LA, right? That district attorney was the first one to attempt to file criminal charges, or did file them, and then they ended up getting dismissed, I guess. Is that right,
George? Yeah, George Gascon from LA.
Yeah. And
he dropped him, right?
So at the pit, for everybody who doesn't know, one of the lead investigators in LA County came to the pit, gathered the same information that all of these guys gathered, and everybody else at the pit. Everybody had the same shot at it. He took it back. They did a little bit of research, found out, oh my gosh, these guys are telling the truth. A few days later, or a week or so later, a grand jury was convened. A few weeks later, I was out there testifying in that grand jury. They arrested him, shortly thereafter. At the same time, we're going through all the stuff with the defamation case where he had sued us for defaming him for telling the truth, by the way. And it was a wild situation. Catherine took a couple of days off. Just to kind of clear her mind and clear her head. It was so intense, and came back, and then she's poisoned. Next thing we know, we're in court. Eugene Yu had been arrested in the meantime. Then we were in court. They let him go in L.A. Ended up dropping the L.A. charges for that moment, but kept all of the data. So L.A. County has 300 terabytes of data that they confiscated from Eugene Yu's office when they arrested him. 300 terabytes.
Going to decide what sites you visit, and they're only going to allow a couple thousand sites. 99% of the web will be off limits.